this video is going up a day later, and I'm recording it a day earlier. Obviously we have Tuesday off because it's St. Patrick's Day, but I also took today off, Monday, just a vacation day to have like a 4-day weekend. Normally I would do this to have a 4-day weekend of doing absolutely nothing, but I'm not really in that mindset anymore of not wanting to do anything. So I was like, what am I gonna do all weekend? So for today, I thought I would record at least my video for Wednesday. Hopefully I can record both my videos for this week, and be productive in that way. And then tomorrow, I'm not going anywhere. Like, it's traffic is gonna be hell for St. Patrick's Day. There's obviously a parade in the city, but even the small villages around will have parades, and they're usually just like little kids who do a parade for their school. And I've taken my family there before, who, when they came to visit for St. Patrick's Day, and it was really cute. But if you're not related to any of the kids, it's really not worth the traffic getting there. So I don't think I'm gonna go anywhere near outside tomorrow. Sorry, my nose is a little, it's not my nose, it's my setting spray for my makeup is a little bit wet. But anyway, I also realized that I'm not wearing anything green. Oh, no, that's not true. I'm wearing Irish socks, so yay, I'm doing St. Patrick's Day a little bit good today. Alright, so today I'm gonna do a Q&A video. It's long overdue. I haven't done one in years. I made a community post asking for questions, and I got quite a lot of them. So let's dive in, because we all know I can't answer a question with a straight yes or no. So this is probably gonna be like a 3-hour video. I'm gonna go from bottom to top. So first asked question to last asked question. So first asked question was, do you see yourself living in Ireland for the rest of your life? Would you want to go back to Belgium? I can answer the second part of that with a 90% no. I don't think I would ever move back to Belgium. I've been away for a long time now. Belgium is, I visit it every year, multiple times a year. Obviously, my whole family still lives there. But I don't know if I could adjust to life there anymore. But living in Ireland for the rest of my life, I also don't know. I bought this house 3 years ago with the intention of it being my forever home. I had no intention of, looking at market value and resale possibilities and whatever. I wanted this to be my forever home. But I am well aware of the fact that that's a long way away, hopefully. So I don't know. I've always wanted, you guys know this, I've wanted to move to the US for like 15 years. And every new boss I've had, which has incidentally been almost every year, I've been at the company I work for now for 21 years. And I've had 19 managers. So I've changed managers almost every year. And every year I bring it up to them and they're like, yeah, sure, we can look into that. And it's always a no, always, because it costs too much money. And I'm not high enough up the food chain. If I was like a big executive, they would do it no problem, but that's not my level of career. So, also, I don't know if I want to right now. Not just politically, but I follow a lot of like cancer YouTubers, most of whom are based in the US, and the amount of times that they get like treatment denied or they can't take part in a trial because it's too experimental and their insurance just won't pay for it. Same with the treatment, their insurance won't pay for it. Is insane. You guys pay so much money for your health insurance if you're not on the free one. But in both cases, whether you're on the free one or you have a private one where you pay an insane amount of money, it doesn't cover everything, and a lot of people go bankrupt because of that. And once you hit 40, those are kind of things you have to start thinking about. So I think I love the US. I go there on vacation every year. Everything you need is there. You can find everything there. So in that way, I think standard of life is great there. But in terms of like health insurance, pension, like 401ks, whatever they are, and just the way the climate is there at the moment is not for me. I'm not judging anyone for who it's for, but I grew up in a very liberal country, so it's a little too conservative for me at the moment. But that can change. Hey, things change in a matter of years. So I'd still, if my company were to say to me tomorrow, we want to move you to the US, there's no way in hell I'd say no. I've been trying for 15 years. I would take that. But I'm no longer actively chasing it, at least not right now, not for the time being. I forgot to switch my lights on, just to keep my videos a bit more consistent. And so I'm not saying no, but anywhere else, I also don't know. I think as long as I'm like working and not retired, and I think I'll be not retired for like another I think I'm like 25 years away from retirement age. I think I'll be in Ireland, but I might retire to a sunnier place. Who knows? I don't know. So, do I see myself living here for the rest of my life? 50-50. Do I see myself returning to Belgium? 90% no, 10% yes, because you never know what happens. It's a long way away. Okay, next question is top 3 favorite TV shows of all time. Okay, the first one is my favorite TV show ever. I think it's the best TV show ever made, and that is Alias. I don't know how well known it is. I think it's pretty well known in the US, not very much in Europe. I had the good fortune that I happened to watch it on a Belgian channel with my dad. It was at like 11 p.m. on a Friday. We watched it every week religiously, season 1. And then they took a break and we thought it had ended. And when we realized it had started up again, we were a couple of episodes out. Now, Alias is a show that I will say, if you're watching it for the first time, if you miss even a second of it, you're completely lost. You have to just be in it. You have to pay attention to it. So I gave up on it because I couldn't follow it anymore. And then years later, I found the first 4 seasons. I think they were just about to start airing season 5 in the US. The first 4 seasons is on DVD box in like a sale. And I was like, oh, I remember loving this show. I'm gonna buy them. And I seriously just have loved that show so much ever since. I watch it at least once a year. It's now on streaming platforms. I think it's either on Disney Plus or on Netflix. I watch it there once or twice a year now. has 4 seasons. I want to be clear about that. Season 5 is quite possibly the worst season in TV history and has potential to ruin the whole show. So, if you want to start watching it, I will maintain that it's the best TV show ever made, but season 5 is terrible. So, in my mind, it only has 4 seasons. It's a J.J. Abrams show. Really the first one I ever watched of his. Made me a huge J.J. Abrams fan. I watched a lot of stuff he's done since. And it features Jennifer Garner. This is a show from the year 2000, so it features Jennifer Garner in her 20s. And she's a double agent for the CIA. And it is so good because ever since, Jennifer Garner has done mostly rom-coms. And while I love her, and she's probably still my favorite actress, and I love her as a person, I follow her on Instagram and just adore everything she is as a human being and just how funny she is. I felt like rom-coms were never her strong suit. She was amazing as a CIA agent, and just the stunts she did and all that, she was so good at it. I always found a little sad she didn't continue her career in that trend. So, Alias #1 will forever be. I don't think there's ever going to be a show I will like better. Number 2 is Schitt's Creek. I think anyone who's watched Schitt's Creek will probably have that in their top 3. I've watched it. I watch it at least 4 times a year, but because it's only got 6 seasons with 13 episodes each that are like 20 minutes long, a rewatch takes 3 days. So I watch it. A rewatch for me is like watching all 6 seasons 5 times in a row. And I do that 4 times a year. And then third, this is breaking my heart because there's so many shows I absolutely love and rewatch and that have been, with me since my teenage years that I really love. But I have to be very honest in this and go with Friends. I haven't watched Friends in a long time because I watched it so much that I got a little tired of it. But a few years ago, I won a Friends pub quiz with 76 out of a possible 78 answers correct. And we were a team of 2 because we couldn't find 2 other people to go that night while everyone else had a team of 4. And my friend answered 5 questions, 4 of which I knew, 1 that I didn't know the answer to. Or I thought I did, but I got it wrong. She was adamant that her answer was right. And I was like, you know what? We're going to go with yours. And she was right. But in fairness, I would have won that quiz by myself. And she admits that. She's like, your knowledge of Friends is scary. I can mute the TV and narrate every line of Friends. Word perfect. So, there really can't be another answer than Friends. So, Alias, Schitt's Creek, and Friends. Top 3. Why do you do so few soft-spoken uploads? That's an excellent question, because every time I do, all the comments I get is, I prefer your whisper. I've said this before, I've always gotten compliments my whole life on how soothing my recorded voice sounds. But, which is partly why I opened an ASMR channel. I thought I had a great voice for it. But I did, my first 2 videos, I did 1 soft-spoken, 1 whispered, and asked my viewers, the very few I had of my first 2 videos, what they preferred. And everyone preferred the whisper. And since then, all I've heard is best whisper in the ASMR world, and your whisper is so soothing. And every time I do a soft-spoken video, it doesn't get nearly as many views as my as my whisper. I try to do a regular spoken one because I think my regular spoken voice is more soothing to be honest, than my soft spoken. But I've been having some dry voice problems as a side effect of my medication, and that video sounded a little rough. I think I had a bit of a croaky voice in that video. So I don't mind doing them, but the vast majority of my audience just doesn't want them. They want whisper videos. Look, I'm going to read out this question, but I'm not going to answer it. What do you think about Europe and India diplomatic relationship? I don't even really know what that means. Europe is not one country. It's a whole continent. I don't know if there is a diplomatic issue with India specifically. I don't think there is. And if there was, I don't follow it. I'm sorry. I don't really follow politics, diplomatic stuff. Don't know. So, thank you for asking the question, but I really can't answer it. How is the house? I remember you last spoke about all the development noise. Great, that is done. So, the apartments across the way that were built by the same developer, they are not part of our estate, technically, but kind of. They share the same name with like one word difference, so kind of shows that they kind of belong together, and we share an entrance. But the first building of that, there's 3 buildings there. The first building of that is finished and people have moved in. So the other 2 buildings are just being finished on the inside, and there's no more noise. The apartment buildings they're building across the road, which is a different contractor, a different builder, and the one that did 5 months of pneumatic drilling all day long from 8 until 5 nonstop. That's done. Their full outside of the building is up, and they're also just doing work on the inside, so I don't hear anything anymore. I don't hear any drilling. I don't hear any beeping trucks. It is quiet for the most part. If I hear anything, it's like just a once-off. So really, really great. The only problem I'm having with my house is that I cannot decide what room to sleep in. This is technically my spare bedroom. I have a little recording corner here, but I also sleep here. And my master bedroom is a lot bigger, but so this room has a middle of the wall, so I would say a third up the wall, and then like a quarter of the wall, whatever, and like wall, and then a window, a sizable window, but it's north facing. So this room rarely changes temperature in the winter. In the summer, it's pretty even keel on temperature because the sun never hits it. My master bedroom has a floor to ceiling, ginormous, like much wider than this window as well. East facing window and a floor to ceiling south facing window, so the moment we get any sun, even in the winter, I wake up bathing in sweat. Now that could be resolved. Someone mentioned that in my comments. If I were to get up earlier, trust me, I really try. I would love to become a 7 a.m. person. The problem is not getting up early. I can do that. I can't fall asleep early. So I've tried this before. I tried like a month of getting up at 9, but I still couldn't go to sleep until 4 a.m. every night, and I was exhausted. I had to give up after a month because I couldn't keep living on 5 hours no longer wake up 4 times a night. I no longer wake up anxious from having really vivid dreams. I sleep really well. So maybe this is my time, and I fall asleep around 2, no longer 4. 2 hours earlier is 2 hours earlier. This may be my time to start working on trying to go to sleep half an hour or an hour earlier every week until I build it up to like 11 p.m. and then get up at 7, because that would solve all the problems with the master bedroom. It would. Yeah, the sun in the summer comes up at like 5 here. But in 2 hours time, it's not going to be that warm that my bedroom will be 27 degrees by the time I wake up. Problem is still going to sleep at night. That room just gets hit by the sun all day, and I kid you, when I say 27, I mean that. My bedroom gets to 27 degrees during the day, and I have blackout blinds and blackout curtains closed all day, and it doesn't really do much to keep out the heat. So that's the only problem I have with the house, is that I'm seriously considering making this spare bedroom, which is still a really big bedroom, and then I would just use the main bathroom down the hall instead of my ensuite bathroom. My main bedroom, but I'd have to change beds because this is the cheapest mattress I could find in the store. It was only going to be used once a year when my parents come to visit, and it's fine for a week. But I can't sleep on it long term. My whole body hurts. I have a 1,200 euro mattress in my master bedroom, which is like designed for your back and your neck. So I need to move that, which is a big undertaking. Could never do it alone. And also, if I do that, it's permanent. So I need to really think about it. I'm gonna try to sleep in my bedroom for a while and see how it goes. But for now, I've been in my spare bedroom more in the last year and a half than in my master bedroom. Also, due to the construction noise, this is the room I hear it the least, so I could sleep longer here. But yes, construction noise is over, and aside from this one issue of me not knowing what room to pick, the house is great. What's your idea of the perfect day off? That, again, is a difficult question. It used to be do absolutely nothing, but now I'm a little bit more, I want to do something, and I don't know what. Actually, I think the perfect day off for me is still not really much different. It's a whole day of watching football, which only happens at the weekend, so that's not necessarily a day off. But football and maybe playing some Nintendo. I bought the Hogwarts Legacy game months ago and have still not played it. That was my plan for this weekend. I still haven't started it because Saturday and Sunday was football. Today is video recording day. I might start that game tomorrow because I am not planning on going anywhere tomorrow. So football and Nintendo. And quite honestly, I think that's it. Just do as little as possible and try and de-stress my mind as much as possible from work. Yeah. What are your favorite and least favorite things about living in Ireland based on your experiences? Okay. Favorite thing by far is the people. I will always say I've never met nicer people anywhere, but especially not in Europe, than Irish people. The amount of times I've been invited in for a cup of coffee by total strangers, typically older people. They're very trusting, and they're people I wouldn't be afraid to go have a cup of coffee with, but I don't. I typically say no. I've only done it once when I just lived here, and I was like, ooh, the Irish experience. But no, the people make it all worthwhile. They're just so friendly. They're also always in a good mood, even with the weather. Like, the weather really gets on my mood. For Irish people, I think they're so used to it, it doesn't so much. And they're great crack, as we would say in Ireland. Crack is fun. In my 20s, I went out probably once a month. I've never really been a go-outer, but once a month to pubs with people from work, and I've seen many really drunk Irish people, and never, ever a fight. In Belgium, they would always fight when I went out. They never fight. They get overly friendly, but they never fight. They're just friendly and fun. Love the people. Least favorite thing, this would be, I guess, more specific to where I live, but I think my least favorite thing is that in Ireland, everything revolves around Dublin. There's 4 million people in Ireland, and 2 million live in Dublin. The other 2 are scattered across the country, and especially in Galway. Galway is the 3rd biggest city in the country. Cork is the 2nd. Cork has a lot to do. Galway has nothing. A lot of our shops have closed and won't reopen. Like, there's just empty buildings everywhere. A lot of coffee shops popping up, which doesn't suit someone who doesn't drink coffee. I get a lot of criticism for going to Costa Coffee and Starbucks, but they're the only ones that sell iced tea year-round. I would love to support independent business owners, but independent coffee shops, if they sell iced tea, they only sell it in the summer. And I refuse to pay for a hot cup of tea, because that's boiling water with a tea bag in it. You don't get that better than if you make it at home. You know, I would only pay for something that I can't get at home, or I can't make as good at home. So it's just hard to do something here. We have one bowling alley, and it's part of an arcade, which should tell you enough. It's targeted for kids. It still has pins on strings. And when my cousin and her kids came to visit, guys, I love bowling, okay? My dad used to be in a bowling club when I was a kid, and because it was always late, like he would come home after midnight on a weekday, I was only allowed to go with him once a month because I did have school the next day. I loved bowling. I took them bowling here because none of my friends like it, and they know how much I love it. And it was a disaster because every ball had dents in it, and they would like roll a ball. It would go straight for the pins, and then at some point it would make like a little jump because it hit a dent, and it would veer straight into the gutter. And the amount of frustration it caused my family, I was like, yeah, I know, but this is the only bowling alley we have. We used to have a really big one, a really modern one, that we would regularly go bowling with work. We would organize like bowling nights out, but that went bankrupt years ago. We have no roller rink. Like, I'm a pro inline skater. I'm a pro roller skater too. I used to be, great at roller skating. Once I switched to inline skating, it was a different game. Like, I jump over obstacles. I do ramps, or did. I think I've inline skated twice since moving to Ireland because there's no paths here for it. You can really only comfortably do it on the prom, and the prom is always so busy that you can't really do it there because you would have to constantly navigate between people. Just like a roller rink, or in the winter an ice skating rink, or just anything other than a pub. We have a gazillion pubs, and we have, I think, or cinemas. And I get it, indoor activities because of the weather, but so a roller rink would do that too. There's nothing to do. That's really my point. I know there are bowling leagues in Dublin. Probably not a lot, but some. If I want to do a proper day of shopping, I could go to Limerick, which is about an hour and a half drive. But it's an hour and a half drive. You know, you get my point. There's just nothing to do here in the third biggest city in the country. So I guess that I wish we had more. Things like a Sephora. UK have a Sephora. There are actually a lot of European countries that have a Sephora. Ireland doesn't. Yes, one just opened in Belfast, but technically that's the north and they're part of the UK. While it's easy for me to get to, I can drive there, it's still like a 4-hour drive. It would take me as long to get a flight to London and go to Sephora there and then also do like a whole shopping trip in London for the weekend. So I'm just saying there's not a lot to do here, and that I get itchy feet, and that's probably why I travel as much as I do, because I need to get out sometimes and have something to do. There's not a lot to do here. Favorite Taylor Swift album and song. I am an old school Swiftie. I became a Swiftie before we were called Swifties. I became a Swiftie with her second album, and then also bought her first album. And I'm very much a person who gets stuck in the music she loved when she was a teenager. So my favorite album is going to be very different from most Swifties, I will say. Favorite album is Speak Now, which is still one of her country albums. Favorite song? Okay. On the record, I would have to say it's All Too Well, because I loved it since the first time I heard it, and I do think it's a masterpiece. But deep, deep, deep down in my heart, I think it's still Enchanted, which is also from Speak Now. Enchanted, I played over and over and over again. I sent it to a bunch of my friends. They all became Swifties because of Enchanted. So I think Enchanted is still my favorite song. I was really disappointed at the Era store that she only sang one song off Speak Now. Now she did sing Enchanted. Great. But it's the only album she only sang one song off. She didn't sing any off her first album. But it's the only album she only sang one song off, and I don't know why. When that was over, I was like, what? Why are we moving on to Red? Where's the rest of Speak Now? You know, that album has, like, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on this? I was thinking about this before I started recording. Oh, that album has Back to December and Dear John, like all banger of songs, like really good songs, and she just sang one. Been disappointed with that. But yeah, old school Swiftie. I love all her stuff, don't get me wrong. I have all her albums, love all her albums. But I never grew into sort of the, like, Reputation is my least favorite, while it's most Swifties, I think, favorite, because it's a little too angry for me. And then Midnights and the Tortured Poets Department and the Anthology were very dark, emotional and heavy, and I haven't given them a fair shot. I don't think I listened to them enough, because it was when I was going through a mentally hard time and I wasn't listening to music or podcasts, to be honest. I kind of gave up on true crime in that time period as well. So there's a lot of songs on those albums I don't know, and I think I do need to start listening to them. I love The Life of a Showgirl, but that's because it's more lighthearted and more pop, and I prefer that. I'm not someone who loves listening to like dark music. Brings down my mood. I do love Folklore and Evermore, but they were sort of the transition, I think, into the darker part. So for me, it's still Speak Now. Do you have any plans to go to Florida this year? Yes, it's already provisionally booked for the end of September. I do also have a trip booked to New York for end of May, beginning of June, but I'm waiting out the state of the world to see whether I'll go, because that's only 2.5 months away, so we'll see. Florida, I think by the end of September it'll be okay to go. New York is also New York, you know, it's like the financial heart, and it's got a lot of people in it. So if there's one city I'm the most afraid of anything happening to, let's just put it that way, would be New York. Not that I think it will. I don't think it'll reach that far, but I don't think anyone will get that far. But I'm waiting out the state of the world on my New York decision. But Florida, yes, provisionally booked, meaning I can still cancel it. But because I took a 2-year break, I just want to state that I have gone every year. So as soon as I was allowed to again, after COVID, which was 2022, I've gone every year. So I went 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 times already. So yeah, planned. What goals do you have for your future? Also just wondering if your views on relationships has changed. I don't know if I ever really had a view on relationships. I just think for me, I'm happier without one. That's just how I feel. That's also how my brother feels after a couple of failed relationships. It's also why he took a job where he spends more than 6 months of the year, I think, out of the country than in the country. He likes being by himself, and I like being by myself, so I just think it suits me better. But I have no real stance on relationships other than that. I just don't necessarily think they're for me. So if that is my view, then no, it hasn't changed. What goals do you have for your future? Absolutely none. I'm kind of done planning, because you just don't know what's gonna happen. And I spent years being told by managers that sure, we can move you to the US, and then I would put plans on hold, like buying a house, like saving up to buy a house, which is why it took me so long to buy one, because I kept being convinced that next year I wouldn't be in Ireland anymore, and all of those things didn't happen, didn't come true. So I'm no longer really planning for the future. I'm just letting things happen as they come along. What different countries have you visited, and what's your favorite activity in one of them? I have a video that I'm gonna link to all the countries I visited, because it's I don't know if I would remember all of them. Well, let's see, maybe I quickly can. So obviously Belgium, because that's where I'm from, and Ireland, because that's where I live. UK, Netherlands, Germany, France, Italy, Czech Republic, Spain, Portugal, India, China, United States, Brazil. I think that's it. That's 14. I think that's is a new one. I discovered it like 2 years ago and quickly became one of my favorites. Love going there. What's your favorite activity? One of them. I always book the hop on, hop off bus because I travel by myself and I think it's the easiest way to go visit a place. I think that's really it. Honestly, my favorite activity, pretty much all of them. Oh, well, I can say because the US will be too obvious, that would obviously be Disney World or museums in New York. My favorite activity in the UK is to go see a musical at the West End, which I still have not done on Broadway, and I am adamant I will do this year on Broadway if I go to New York. What was your most recent wow, I'm so proud of myself moment? A lot, actually. I am like such a different person in the last few months. There's a lot of things I'm like, wow, I would never have done that a few months ago, and I'm really proud of myself for that. I think just this. I think this channel. I remember when I came back in January that I said I was going to aim for one video a week, and I've consistently uploaded 2 a week since then because I've just been so happy re-recording videos. So I think being consistent with my YouTube channel is what I am really proud of lately. If you could relive one day of your life again, which would you choose? Don't know. Hang on, it's getting dark out. Let me put my ring light a little brighter. I don't know. Yeah, no, I have no answer to that. I don't have a day that I loved so much that I would relive it. And yeah, sorry. I can't think of one. I can't answer that one. I'm really struggling recently with getting older and feeling I'm so far behind, and now I no longer have fun or enjoy things. You seem like someone who really knows how to live, enjoy, keep your inner child alive. And do you have any tips and tricks? Sorry for all the personal questions. I just find you so relatable. I wish we were friends. Oh, that's really sweet. I honestly don't really have any tips and tricks. This is how I've always been. I think it's just me. I think it's just my personality. I've always been a happy person. I've always found a lot of joy in little things. Like, I remember that I will always remember, like, one Christmas I got a bunch of presents that I asked for, and then my mom got me like this extra, which was a pair of pajamas and slippers, and those slippers were the most comfortable pair of slippers I'd ever owned, and I was so in love with them. I couldn't stop talking about them for 3 days, and my mom was like, I can't believe you're this happy about a pair of slippers. And I said, honestly, I think it's the best Christmas gift I got this year. Like, I've always just been someone who has really appreciated the little things. My grandma used to always say that, like, I've never seen you get out of bed without a smile. Like, you just wake up with a smile on your face. And that's kind of true. That doesn't mean I obviously don't go through dark periods, but I don't let other people notice that. I think that's part of the problem. Maybe why they last longer than they should. I don't know. I think the best thing I can say is just don't compare yourself to others. It's something I've been kind of practicing for the last like 5 or 10 years, probably more like 5 years. When I bought a new one of my friends here said, you worked for this, you saved up for it, be proud of it and post about it. If they can't handle it, then let them unfriend you. But if they're your real friends, they'll be happy for you. And that's kind of what I always try to live by, you know, like, I try to be happy for other people, even if I may be slightly jealous. I try to be happy for other people because, you know, I'm not Taylor Swift. I wish I could write songs or even sing a note the way she does, but that's not my life. I'm not a I'm not a male professional footballer who makes literally 300,000 euro a week, playing a game once a week. It's just, there are always people and there are people who might be just as talented and don't make it. There are always going to be people who will do much better in life than you from an objective point. That's how life is. And if you always compare yourself to what other people have that you don't have, you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. Try to look at what you do have that you love and try to be happy with yourself as a person and with the things you have. And if you truly aren't, then take steps to change them, but don't look at what other people have. Don't feel like you're behind in life, because the only reason you feel like you're behind in life is because you see all the people around you who have what you think is more than you in life. And that's not a way to live. Don't compare yourself to other people, because you will be unhappy forever. There will always be people who objectively are doing better in life than you. And that's just how life works. And it's not a way to live your life. So focus on you and only look at you and try to find a way to be happy with what you have or change what you have. As a middle-aged woman with self-diagnosed ADHD, what steps do you recommend I take to getting diagnosed officially? I'm inspired by the changes you've noticed with meds. Thanks. Yeah, they really have changed. Okay, so I don't know how it works. I don't know where you live. I don't know how it works there. In Ireland, there's I think it's just called ADHDireland.ie website, and you can click on for adults. Like, they have a section for children and a section for adults, and it lists all the private psychiatrists that do assessments for adults. I spent 2 years chasing people, but they all had closed wait lists, and a lot of them were like, sorry, we're gonna remove ourselves from the website, and then they were gone the next week. It took 2 years for me to find someone that actually had availability, but I will say it costs a fortune. I spent about 2,000 euro in total just getting the assessment, a couple of follow-up appointments, and a prescription. And I'm going to talk to my GP about this, because she mentioned she might be able to do it, but unless my GP can take over my prescription, I'm going to have a follow-up appointment with that psychiatrist every 6 months to get a prescription renewed, and that's 250 euro every 6 months for the rest of my life. So that's the only thing I can recommend, because that's what I did, but it cost a fortune. I know that in most countries, the public wait lists are really long, and I don't know if your insurance covers psychiatrists. I don't think mine does. Mine covers therapy and possibly psychologists, but psychiatrists I don't even think my health insurance covers. So all my follow-up meetings through video conference because they're not local. So that's what I did. But yeah, would you ever consider doing ASMR gameplay of like Ocarina of Time or some other Zelda game? Also, how's your experience in Ireland been? I'd love to know more about it. I think I answered sort of the Ireland question. There's another similar question coming up, so I'll answer a bit more there. ASMR gameplay, I think I did it once for Animal Crossing. I do have a game capture card. I don't know how many people would be interested in it. I also don't know how ASMR could keep it because I would go. You have no idea. Like, what if I play Zelda? There are legit things that scare the bejesus out of me, and I would scream. So, yes, I do consider it. I think about it sometimes to do it, but I don't know if I will. Let's put it that way. What games, if any, have you been playing, enjoying lately? I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing again since they did the new hotel update, but again, I have now not played in a couple of weeks, and I have not yet started it, but I plan to start Hogwarts Legacy tomorrow, so hopefully that. Any horror films you love to watch, or comfort films? Horror is an interesting topic. My friend who came to visit me the weekend after New Year's loves horror movies, and I used to hate them. I would watch them with her every now and then, but it would have to be preferably during the day, and I wouldn't sleep at night. I've gotten a lot better at that. I suggested to her that we watch a horror movie because I kind of felt like it, and we watched the new Scream. Now, out of all the horror movie genres, slasher movies are my least favorite because I can't see someone getting, it's not stabbed, it's, it's slashed. But we watched it and actually really loved it. So the new Scream, highly recommend. Comfort films. I have more comfort shows than films. I suppose any Harry Potter film. Favorite movie of all time is Dirty Dancing. Haven't watched it in a long time because, again, I overwatched it as a child, but that, I guess, would definitely be one of my comfort films. I'm looking at my movie case. Oh, Greatest Showman would definitely be a comfort film, but I definitely would choose TV shows more because they're shorter episodes. I can take breaks easier if I lose my concentration, as our movies are longer. Tell us a random story of when something funny or unexpected happened to you. I should have read through all of these beforehand and thought about that. The only thing that I don't know. Okay, so I've always stated that I attract weirdos, and case in point for that was when I was in Vegas in 2016. I was there with my friend. She was getting some drinks and snacks from the hotel souvenir shop, and I was waiting outside in the hotel, but outside the shop. And this older man came up to me conversation with me, and I thought, fine, not long to go, chat with him. And when we got up to get off the train, he said, if I was 40 years younger, and then he kissed me on the cheek. And I thought, whoa, dude, like, you may look like a cute old grandpa, but kissing someone on the cheek without asking them first is still not acceptable. So those are really the stories I can think of, because they always involve weird encounters, like weirdos hitting on me. That's the best way I can say it, which I think is a big part of the reason why I'm single, because I only attract weirdos. I'm sure that is by far not the funniest thing that's ever happened to me, but it's the only thing that's popping into my mind right now. How have you found the transition from tenant to homeowner? Really hoping to buy a home in Ireland, and I imagine there are lots of pros and cons to making that transition, e.g. being in charge of your own repairs. Yes, that's very true, but because I live in a new build, I haven't had repairs yet. So, fingers crossed that'll stay away for a while. I haven't really noticed a huge difference yet, to be honest. The only thing that I really love about being a homeowner is the fact that there's no one there to raise my rent. My mortgage is fixed for a good amount of years, so I'll be paying the same amount for a while, and I never have to worry about getting evicted. Like, I was talking to a girl, the girl who did my nails. She quit out of nowhere. But she was about to be evicted. Like, her landlord is a man in his 80s and was selling the house so he could divide sort of the estate among his kids before he died, so that there wouldn't be any arguments about it afterwards. And she was like, I've got a few months now to find a new place to live. And as you probably know, if you're renting in Ireland is insane. It costs at least twice as much as owning in Ireland. So, personally, so far I've only seen benefits, but it's also a new build, so I haven't had anything break on me yet. What hobbies, activities did you ever try out, and which one of those stuck? As a kid, I tried ballet for one lesson, didn't like it. Tried jazz ballet for one lesson, didn't like it. Then did music academy for about 10 years. I played guitar for the initial 3 years, and then, 4 years. So they've changed it now. But back then, the way it was in Belgium, you first had to get a year of just reading music lessons, and then in the second year you could add an instrument. So 4 years in total, 3 years of playing guitar, and then once you finished that, you went on to something called general music culture, and that was really more about art, like art history. And you could then also add on a second instrument if you wanted to, and I added on piano. And I did that, I think, in total, the whole music academy thing, I think I did in total for about 10 years. That's really the only thing that ever stuck with me. I wouldn't say so much hobbies, but I've tried a lot of things. Like, I bought puzzles that I started and got stuck on, and then my dad came to visit and was like my frame, what I thought was the whole outline, was way too small. My dad actually made the frame, and I was like, whoa. And he said, yeah, what was that? Your frame didn't even have all the pieces in it that it needed. So yeah, that was not my forte. I bought a painted by numbers kit, which I ended up having to throw away because all the paint dried out. I never opened it, like, for years. I also practices, and I definitely didn't play every game because I have bad cardiophobia, and there's a lot of tag rugby is a lot of tracking back and then speeding forward and tracking back and speeding forward, and it's really heavy cardio, and I was often too anxious to do it, but I did that for a while. Where do you want to travel to next? Well, my next trip planned is New York, so I will say this, I would love to go to Japan. Japan has been on my list for a long time, but I cannot do both Japan and Florida in the same year. I can't afford that. And I am just so unwilling to give up Florida at the moment. Maybe one day, but would love to do Japan. How are you enjoying your house now that you've been there a few years? Yeah, great. I feel like I've been here forever. It's definitely feels like my house, and that I'm really happy I bought it. At the time I did, especially since prices just keep going up and interest rates just keep going up. How's your family doing? Great overall. Parents are finishing up their last 2 weeks in Spain for the winter, and then they'll go home. My brother is currently in Denmark, I think, on a trip. He travels a lot for work, but loves that. So, and overall, I think family's doing fine. Aside from New York, any trips on the horizon? Florida. Belgium and Florida. I got Belgium in the summer and Florida later in the fall. Nothing else. I mean, I can't afford to travel all the time. How many questions do I have left? Okay, not too many. So, but I'm going to try to answer them a little bit faster. Future hopes and goals. Again, I don't really have them. Do you think about what you'll be doing in 5 to 10 years from now? No. Trying to not make plans anymore for the future. First, I've been here for years and I adore you. Besides your awesome ASMR. Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. Tell us about your favorite snacks from Belgium and Ireland. I guess Spain too. I'm hungry if you couldn't tell. Yeah, that's the moment you asked that question. Favorite snacks from Belgium. I love bitterballen. They're like a meatball. Well, I wouldn't say that. It's got like a breadcrumb, not a breadcrumb. I don't even know if it's a breadcrumb. It's got a coating around it that you deep fry, and it's got what I assume is meat in it. I always say to people, don't question what's in it. It looks like meat. It's advertised as meat. Just take it as meat. But it's delicious, and I've recommended it to every friend of mine that's gone to Belgium on vacation. They've always ordered it and loved it. I try to bring it home when I take my car to Belgium, but unfortunately it's always frozen, and I don't have enough. I need to find like an ice box that I can plug into my car and also plug into an overnight hotel outlet, because I always take a 2-day trip home and it would be defrosted by then. And even if I were to put it in my suitcase and fly home, it's still a full day trip. I still think it would be defrosted by then. So it's hard for me to take them home, and I can't find them here. They're, I think, Belgian and Dutch exclusive. I don't think you can find them in other countries, but they're great. Favorite Irish snack? I don't think I have one that's like specific Irish. I don't think I have one. Sorry. That's not, well, Ireland isn't known for its cuisine, but that's not to say that I don't like Irish things, but I think most of the snacks they sell here are international. I don't really know of any. Like, if you're gonna talk to me about pudding, first of all, that's not Irish. We have that in Belgium too, but I also hate it. Pudding is blood sausage. everyone's favorite snack is a churro, but I have to say, like, the churros I get at Universal in Florida are much nicer than the ones I get in Spain. I find the ones in Spain kind of dry, so maybe not. But I guess if I have to pick a favorite Spanish snack, it would be a churro, probably. Have you ever visited Scotland? Yes, like a million times. One of my best friends is from Edinburgh. I am, if you didn't know this about me, I'm a huge Westlife fan. It's how I ended up in Ireland, or at least how I discovered Ireland and then fell in love with the country. For like 20 years before they split, before they got back together, I went, like, I toured, like, I saw them 7 to 8 times a year in concert, and most of my Westlife friends that are still friends of mine today were Scottish, so we would always do the Glasgow dates together, and that is what we still do. When they do tour, which has been a while now, but when they do tour the UK and Ireland, I always go to Glasgow because my friend from Edinburgh can come over then, and I always meet up with all my other Scottish friends, and we just make a night of it and just meet up. We all have each other on Facebook, but it's like the one time we still meet up in person is at a Westlife concert. So I've been to both Edinburgh and Glasgow many, many, many times. Not like the Highlands or anything, just really those two cities. But yeah, I've been there a lot. Won't go this year because Mark is not joining the tour. Mark is my favorite, and I'm not gonna even apologize for the fact that I go 90% of the reason I go see them in concert is to see Mark. So I love the other three with all my heart, but I have no interest in seeing them without Mark. And neither does my Scottish friend, because Mark is also her favorite. But that wasn't the question. Yes, I've been to Scotland many times. I know you've been somewhat frustrated with your work lately, so have I. What was the most useful thing you've learned in your career that can really help someone weather the storm? You know what? The most useful thing I've learned has really been in the last year, which is it's a job. It pays my bills. That's really all I can see it as at this point, and that's really all that matters at this point in this economy, which is threatening to possibly become the worst economy the world has ever seen if this Middle East conflict continues for much longer. I am trying to be grateful that I just have a job, and I'm less frustrated with it because my medication helps me concentrate on it better. I also like the people I work with this year and for most of last year. So I'm trying to focus just on the things I like about it, the people I like, but at the end of the day, I just look at it as a job and a paycheck, and I need that. So I know that's not very helpful. I know that doesn't help with frustrations at work, but at the end of the day, it does make me less frustrated with things that are going wrong, because I think to myself, you know what, this is just a job. It's not your life. So if something isn't working or is going wrong, put it to the side, try it again tomorrow. Stop making it more important than it is. That's kind of how I'm looking at it at the moment. How do you like living in Ireland, and what's your favorite country to visit? Again, Ireland, love it for the most part. There are things that frustrate me about it, but they would about any country. I love it. Favorite country to visit, obviously, United States. What made you decide to start a YouTube channel? I don't really know. I anxiety became a lot less. I'd always been told I had a really soothing recorded voice. I decided to just try it one day. I was like, the first video, just publish it, see where it goes, and here we are. So, just decided it one day, honestly. Do you read books? If so, what's your top 3 favorite books? Not really anymore. I would love to get back into it. I used to read a book a month. But with all the streaming services that came out over the last decade, I really just watch a lot of TV. But if I have to say top 3 favorite books, I mean, my absolute favorite book is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I've talked about this before. I think that's why it's my least favorite movie, because they changed so much about the book in the movie. But it's my favorite book. Second favorite book, and I recommended this before, and one of my viewers said she read it based on my recommendation and loved it. It's A Place Called Here by Cecilia Ahern. And third favorite, do I really? Oh, yes. Oh gosh, I don't remember the title. It's a book by Des Gerritsen, which is a Dutch last name because her husband's Dutch, but she's an American writer. She writes the Rizzoli and Isles series, if you know that TV show. Although the TV show was very different from the books, I have to say. I did enjoy watching it, but it is not the same. The books are a lot better. There is one particular book of hers that freaked me out so much. I really loved it. Sorry, I had to get up and go to my bookcase to read the summary of each book at the back to figure out which one it was. It's called The Killing Place. I will mention all 3 of them in a pinned comment so you can know who I'm talking about, because if you've never heard of Des Gerritsen, that's not really a last name I can spell out that easily. Okay. So, what is something you enjoy most about being in your home country? The food. A lot of food connoisseurs rate Belgium higher than France and Italy. Very little, nothing about Belgium, but Belgium is great food. Definitely the food. What is something you enjoy about being where you are today? My fireplace. I've shown it in a video. I've just shown it in 2 videos. I think I got an electric fireplace installed. Love that thing. Also, have you been to the new Epic Universe yet at Universal? Love your videos and grateful for your return to YouTube. Oh, thank you. Yes, I have been to Epic Universe. I went on my birthday last year and the day after. I actually booked an express pass for my birthday as well. Splurged a little, and it was worth it because it was really busy. The wait times are insane. I don't know how Universal plans to handle that, because when I say insane, I mean like 8 hours. It's like there were wait times of over 400 minutes. And the park is only at 80% capacity, meaning annual pass holders are still not allowed in with their annual pass. They have to buy a ticket. It's not included yet in it. I think they plan to do that this year, but they're gonna have to do something about the wait times, because you can't put it at 8, like it's still only 80% capacity, and the wait times are already ridiculously high. Also, the new Ministry of Magic ride is amazing. I will say one thing. If anyone has been and can explain this to me, please do. I could Google it, but I'm worried, or Reddit it, but I'm worried I'm gonna get killed in the comments because maybe it's a really stupid question. But the Harry Potter section of Epic Universe, where the Ministry of Magic ride is, it's called the religious trial for all the stuff she did against muggles, or muggle-borns, and house elves and things like that. That whole area is French. It's like French cafes, French patios, bakeries, all really cute. And that would make sense to me, that they don't want to do everything in England. Like both Studios and Islands of Adventure have it's Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, so I get that, maybe they want it somewhere other than England. But then make a ride in like the Beauxbaton School of Wizardry. The Ministry of Magic is based in London. It makes no sense to have that ride in a French area. It's cute. It's really pretty. I love the French vibe, but it makes no sense that it would house the Ministry of Magic ride. They built the Ministry of Magic exactly like you see it in the movie. It's awesome. And I had an express pass, so I kind of walked through the whole queue. The queue is so long that it still took me, I think, a good 20 minutes to get from start to end. But it makes no sense for me that it's in a French section when the Ministry of Magic is in London. So, but yes, Epic Universe is amazing. It kind of cured my Universal dullness a little bit. I was kind of over Universal. There's not a lot of rides left I can do because they're all simulators. So is this one, but less so. I think it didn't make me nauseous. Neither does Escape from Gringotts, because it's, for a big part, you're in a cart on rails. But like Forbidden Journey makes me really nauseous. So a lot of rides at Universal that used to be roller coasters are being replaced by simulators, and those make me motion sick. They make me really nauseous, so I can't do those anymore. So I'm glad that there's a new park, but I definitely do more Disney than Universal these days. But I do love it, and I will go back to Epic Universe because it has a lot. It has Super Nintendo World, which I also love. Love your videos, especially the Whisper, Neighborhood Gossip, and Rambling ones. Thank you. And I have a Neighborhood Gossip one coming up next. Have you ever had a pet, or would you consider getting one? Yes and no. Consider getting one. No, I'm not home enough. I mean, I work from home, but I travel a lot, and I travel for long periods of time. So no, wouldn't get one. I grew up in an apartment on the highest floor of the building, so we never had pets. My mom we also had a holiday home at the coast, which is not nearly as fancy as it sounds. It was small, but loved it nonetheless. But we went there a lot, so my parents just didn't want pets to travel with back and forth constantly. The one thing my mom always told me is never bring home a goldfish from the fair. And one year I brought home a goldfish. That thing lived forever. I swear it lived for 10 years. I know nobody believes me when I say that, but it really did. It lived for like 10 years. And then we had a parakeet. The goldfish, by the way, we came home one day after like a month at the coast. We had a little feeder thing that released bits of food every day. And it was lying bent on the bottom of the tank. And my dad was like, oh well, it lived for 10 years. It's its time. And he flushed it down the toilet. And when I was in my 20s, I told my friends that story, and they were like, that's how fish sleep, right? Like, you what's the English word for it? Volarium. Like a bird sanctuary, whatever. What's it called? Oh, it doesn't even have a freaking translation in English. Yeah, it's like a really big outdoor cage with birds in it. And every time I went to visit them, that bird was chirping up the wazoo, so he was much happier there. So so those are the two bits I only ever had, really: a bird, a goldfish, and a bird. Any more neighborhood gossip coming up? How's your family? What's life like in both Ireland and Belgium? So this is the question that I am probably going to have a long answer for, even though this video is already so long. But Belgium is very liberal, like I said. It's not very different life-wise, I think, than most of Western Europe countries like Netherlands, Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, everything surrounding it. It's mainland Europe. It's all very similar. It has everything legalized, legalized gay marriage, legalized abortion, legalized euthanasia, legalized weed. It has everything legalized. It's just a very modern country, and there's a lot to do in Belgium. But it's overcrowded. Irish people always think Ireland's a very small country. Belgium's a third the size of Ireland, and it has 12 million people living in it, whereas Ireland has 4 million. So, big difference. It's very overcrowded. Ireland is the opposite. Ireland's an island. It has very few influences from mainland Europe, and while it's made leaps and bounds of moves forward in the last decade, it's an island. There's a lot less to do. There's a lot, I think, more beautiful places to visit, but the weather has to be there for it. There's a lot less to do, but there's also a lot nicer people. I find Belgians to be overall kind of moody, if that's the right word. It's not even really true, but Belgians kind of keep to themselves. Like, when I first moved to Ireland, I took the bus to work because I didn't have a car yet, and there were a lot of like joggers in the morning who would jog past the bus stop, and they would all say good morning, and I was like, why are they talking to me? They don't know me. And I realized that was just an Irish thing. And so when I went back to Belgium the first time, I started saying hi to everyone I came across on the street, and people looked at me like I belonged in an asylum. Like, it was genuinely bizarre. Like, we just don't do that in Belgium. So the mentality of people is very different. Ireland is, I think the biggest difference is Belgium's very busy, a little bit more stressful, very fast-paced. Ireland's very chill. Manana vibes. Not as bad as actual manana, but very chill. That also works against it. Like, official companies just don't show up when you make an appointment with them. Like, when I moved into this house, I wanted internet and TV from Air because they looked like they offered the most, like the best package to me, and they didn't show up. And I called them the next day and was like, hello, I had an appointment with your installers yesterday and nobody showed up. And she was like, oh yeah, they couldn't find your house. house has its own air code. So my air code, you would only find my house with. And they weren't on Google Maps yet or in car navigations yet because they were just new. So they weren't really published in public yet. And the whole address was new. I said, I understand that, but why didn't any of them call me to let me know that? I've had IKEA delivery guys not be able to find my house. They call me. I ask them to meet me at the hotel down the street, which they do know where it is, and I drive ahead of them to my house. Why didn't they do that? And she said, I don't know. But the next available appointment is in 2 weeks. I can pencil you in for then. And I said, no, thank you. I'm going to the competition. I'm not waiting another 2 weeks. The competition had already come to my door, which is another thing I really hate. I put up a no soliciting sign on my door recently because every week people come to your door and try to sell you something, which is such an old-fashioned practice. I don't know why they still do that in Ireland, but it's every week, and it's been that way for 20 years. Well, that I've lived here longer, probably before that. But I called the guy who left me his card, and he arranged for someone to come and install my internet and TV the next day. So that's what you get, but that's what you get a lot in Ireland. Official companies, even just like people who are starting their own business, they don't even show up for appointments, and I'm like, really? You want to build a business that way? Everything is I like that everything is slow paced and chill and more stress free. I like to live that way too, but it is bothersome when they just don't show up. And if you open a query with the revenue office, you get a pop-up that says, we aim to respond to you within 25 working days. 25 working days, that's 5 weeks. That's your aim to respond. Way to go. So, I still prefer life in Ireland. I like the chillness of it. I like the friendliness of the people. And if I want to go on a shopping binge, I take a trip somewhere. And maybe it's a good thing that I don't have that much access to shopping here because I would probably be flat broke. I'm a shopper. Belgium has a lot more shopping, a lot more activities. They do have bowling lanes and ice skating rinks seasonally. Roller rinks. They even have ski, indoor ski. What do you call them? Oh gosh, I know the Dutch word. I can't think of the English word, but it's an indoor ski hall. So it essentially has got fake snow, and you can use it to practice skiing for your next ski trip. And I believe that is actually year round. So honestly, more to do, but also, and better food, but also more stressful. And a little bit, more fast-paced. Last question. Oh, wow, finally an hour and a half into this. Will you go back to regular true crime or unsolved mystery vids? Yes, I just published one last week. That was an older one. I'd recorded a few years ago, but it was just a prudent time. I just uploaded a update in older cases video, and I'm definitely planning. I would like to do a new true crime video at least once a month. I'll see if I can find the time to put my research into that, but I would like to do that and get back to that. Oh, by the way, that previous question had a lot of questions. Can you ever move to the States? Not currently, legally, no. No, my company won't transfer me. Can't do it without a work to the Algarve, I think 4 or 5 times since. Favorite city of the two would be Porto. Porto is beautiful. Lisbon's great too, but Lisbon is not for me currently. I am nowhere near fit enough for Lisbon. Lisbon is very steep up and steep down, but like constantly. And I regularly had to stop halfway up a street to catch my breath. Also, because I'm on a beta blocker, my heart can only go so fast. So I need to become physically fitter to do Lisbon. Looks like a beautiful city though, but not currently for me. But I would go back to Porto in a heartbeat. Portugal, great country. Very cheap, by the way. Medication, I had to go get some medication there that I forgot to bring. Was like a tenth of the price in Ireland. Food's pretty cheap, and everyone speaks English fluently. I went to Malaga recently, like my parents, in Spain. I decided to go a few days early and visit actual Malaga, the city. And I was surprised that when I went into a few big shops and I asked if they spoke English, that they were like, a little. And they didn't understand my question. Now, I'm not one of those arrogant people that expects everyone to speak English. If it's not your native language, your country is not obligated to speak it. I just assumed that in a big city, a city with a lot of tourists like Malaga, that they would speak English, and a lot of people didn't. In Portugal, every place I've been to, they've all spoken English and fluently. So that's a big plus if you visit Portugal. Do you collect anything? Not really. I used to collect fairy statues, but I haven't collected those in a really long time. I am a hoarder, so I kind of keep everything, but that's not really collecting. Favorite things about the USA? I think that you kind of have everything, and unless you live like middle of nowhere, you have everything really close by. And that's something I really wish I had. Sometimes, a lot of the time. So that was it. Those were all the questions I was asked. Thank you so much for asking them. I knew this was going to be a long video because a simple yes or no is not in my nature. I hope you learned something from this. And neighborhood gossip video coming up next. I have some juicy